I think like I do agree with you though, Ali. Like it's like whatever we used to talk, it would just be very like off the cuff, and we would just kind of say what we wanted to say,
I
whatever
think
was on
like
our
even
mind.
just last like 5 minutes, like Duran was like saying like starting, even though like we know we had like some jokes, we're laughing. I think it's a whole better vibe. I don't know.
Hmm.
And like
It's like okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like if we have a little quieter space, because right now you were talking about like the app, the 5 hours, and then it's like you got a little quiet for like that stuff we can cut out. So we don't need to worry so much about making sure every single second is like back to
Like
back to back.
it just looks weird if we cut out because we posted as a video, right? Like
I've been cutting it. I don't, like if you might not
okay,
even be able to tell. I've
hmm.
been, like
I wasn't able to tell.
watch it. You won't because usually the spaces it's like a second and it's not that much movement. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Gotcha. Hmm.
Unless if we all stop for like 10, 20 seconds and I'm like this now or
But
but
but I heard like that happens like often, even in like other pods, they just cut out all the time, and you don't really notice.
so when it's fully audio, yeah, it's very easy because it's just audio. But let's say it's a video, they're also not always on the one scene. So they're probably cutting, you know, when they like go from like both
Yeah.
hitting to just that one angle, that's probably a cut. They probably took out a chunk right there. Not in
Yeah,
every
Mm.
single cut scene, but like
yeah. When I see
But
like
see,
the shorts of other like talking podcasts, like it sounds like I don't know. You're right. They focus on the one person and you just get the single cut. I also just think it looks nicer because they're all sitting around a nice table. They're at a studio. It looks semi professional.
none of them are studio though. Like,
Yeah, some of them are just like a parent's basement, but they have the
but
space set up
I mean,
nicely.
not together. They just look like they're unless if you actually see them in one screen. If you them in
Interesting.
one screen, they can't control it. But like if it's like side by side or like it's switching back and forth, and it just looks like they're in the same place, they're sometimes not in the same place.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
gotcha.
So if we all like ended up on like a white background or something, like we could make it look like we're on the same space without actually being in the same space. But obviously, yeah, like you're saying, if you see them sitting around the table, like the Joe Rogan and stuff, like obviously that you can't like.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not yeah.
Joe
So AI.
Rogan's like I think the other question was what's Joe Rogan's value? And as a semi Joe Rogan hater, it's fucking interesting to listen to, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even gonna lie. It's interesting.
Well, that's my point, right? It's like it's interesting to listen to. Like it's not like we try to force value. I feel that's what I'm saying. Is he just has a conversation and just talks to the person, but he also does talk to interesting people.
Yeah, that's
like I don't
he
know
does
what.
bring on like
Yeah.
people like from all walks.
We're interesting people too. We have our own experiences. We can.
You're interesting. I don't know about myself. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how interesting I am, but
I think it's
It's
just
like
a
Asking
skill
the right
to like
question. Like Joe Rogan,
right question. I think
he asks good
right.
questions.
Yeah, it's that and like the right flow, right?
Yeah,
Like he I don't know, there's a way to direct the conversation and talk about something without it sounding forced.
yeah. I just
mm,
keep thinking of you guys know Nimanaz, right?
Who?
who?
You guys know
Oh
about
yeah, yeah,
Nimanaz?
the guy who,
Who?
yeah, the one who
Yeah, yeah.
impersonates
So
Gary
he
Vee.
impersonated. He has a few on Joe Rogan. It's so funny. He does it so well.
Actually,
Yeah. If you,
I gotta watch
yeah,
those.
maybe we can watch it later. But yeah, it's so funny.
He's done a few. He's done Gary Vee. He's also done somebody else that was fairly popular. I forgot. I think he's done Jordan Peterson.
I don't
Dude,
know.
what's the
Is
use
that
of
Might have been
Alex
in Jordan.
Hormozy?
That's the first job gonna be taken over by AI impersonating someone. There are some
Yeah,
funny ass
Yeah.
videos on YouTube about like Joe Rogan AIs talking to like imaginary guests. Dude, it's so funny because it sounds so real.
it's like Joe Rogan and like Steve Jobs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But there's even like obscure ones. There's like I've been listening to a lot of like these AI generated voices for like a make for like a very old game. Like it's very niche, and there's one between like an AI generated conversation between this like video game character from like the early 2000s and Joe Rogan, and it sounds like legit. Like it sounds so funny, and I'm like, this is crazy. It's like I'm laughing, but I'm like, wow, this is how we're gonna die. Like, this is how
Yeah.
the AI is gonna take over.
That's what I'm saying, man. I feel like every I've said this multiple times to you guys. I'm like, I feel like every um thing like that has creativity in it, that you think of an idea and you can produce it, right? Like movies are going to be like that. They're going to have real time and real life character. Like, sorry, let me retract. It will look like the real people, and those actors, quote unquote, will be generated. And now you could just have a script, and you just input the script and say, like, let me direct this scene and let me direct this movie. And that's how movies are going to start being made.
I
Right?
have a different take on creativity. AI is just gonna spit out whatever's been made before, and I think a truly creative process, like if you study a lot of artists, they don't go out, like very few artists do this, like to spontaneously go out, make something in one go and put it
Mm.
out. That does not happen in general. Like a lot of masterworks, the artist studies, like they study, they do a lot of practicing, they look at it, they examine it, see what they want to change. Like if you
Hmm.
I've watched a lot of art history videos, and like I'll take an example of like Picasso's like cubism, right? Like the weird rectangular shapes, looks like a fucking kindergartner drew it. And people say like, oh, like, anyone can do that. I'm like, yeah, but like Picasso, like it's good because this guy took the time to learn how to draw well, analyze it, like, and then come up with something new that represents a different idea, right? It wasn't just random. Like he didn't just scribble and put it out there saying like, pay me $1 million.
No, I get that. So what I'm trying to say is, I think it will be highly leveraged, even if it doesn't become the end product. Think about it this way: is like a writer generally has to, like, they imagine the scene in their head, but now a writer can just basically put it through this program and show the director how they've imagined it, and now they can iterate on that like so much quicker until they get to a point where they can potentially give it to actors and be like, do this, you know. I'm sure that actors will might have some input, but I think it will really reduce the cost of like just going through multiple takes, etc., to get to a scene that they've wanted, because now they've already imagined how they wanted it right from the get-go, right? um that, or they might, the writer might just output it just directly like that, because they can iterate back and forth multiple times, right? So I don't think it reduces the iterative processes you just said, but it might reduce the number of people required in the making of the same art.
100%. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That I can see. That I can see.
Yeah.
Or
That's my point. And that does reduce jobs.
my take is art is gonna move, or like the art market is just gonna move into like industries that AI can't replicate, right? Like there's new types of sculptures being put out that, I don't know. This is a very, very far tangent, but there's like these kinetic sculptures that take like a lot of, I guess, mechanical teachings, and then they try to formulate that into like a sculpture that moves, right? It moves based on like a certain principle that they're, or artistic principle that they're trying to show off. Stuff like that, like stuff like you can't see on a screen, but stuff that is physical and stuff that is handmade.
Mm, that's cool. Yeah, man. I don't know what the future looks like with AI. It's like it's going in so many directions. I don't know how it's going to look like.
Facts.
But it is fun studying it. Machine learning is pretty fun to study, actually.
If you like statistics.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like if you just want to implement a lot of AI algorithms, there's a lot of libraries out there that now just do such crazy heavy lifting. So if you have data, which that's why they say data is the new oil, that's the hard part. If you have the data, you can like infer some interesting stuff. Yeah. So that's what we need to get to, the data.
We need to generate our own data for our AI models.
That's funny.
Wasn't this so much better than a podcast or like our
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but you both never even
I
talked.
mean, I started talking, but then I think it's just. I think this is usually how it is. Like people, like two people are like really in it, and like I wasn't at the beginning, but then you.
Yeah, fair.
That's how it is.
I threw
The name of the game.
I threw in that link in the chat. You guys can check it now.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
The Nima.
I don't know if
I think it's
it
in-
makes sense to share and watch at the same time, or
Sorry, I started watching it. Yeah, maybe you should pop it up on the screen.
Will the audio come through?
Okay. Yeah, DMT is great. Yeah. Yeah, the
So this is funny. Let me show you guys the AI stuff.
Oh man, that is actually so funny.
Like this
Oh,
is going to
God.
be very niche because it's funny. Like
Mm.
I played this game a long time ago. And I
Mm.
played it.
Maybe we should just start doing it. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the trick.
This
Mm.
this
Open
is
anything.
this is the AI.
I've seen him do it to countless doors and chests. No secret was hidden from him. In fact, he could even open up bones.
Even bones?
Yes, even bones.
But Vivek told me that the Nerevarine just summoned a shit ton of skeletons.
No, that is a common misconception. Many believe he summoned an army of skeletons, but in fact it was simply a misinterpretation of his ability to open bones.
That's very interesting. Opening bones reminds me of fighting and stuff.
Really?
Like this one time a pregnant woman walked into the cage and I hit her with a spinning elbow.
What?
She gave birth on the mat and was instantly disqualified by the ref.
Yo, what the fuck?
That's
You
hilarious.
see how it gets his voice.
flows.
It's inflections and everything. It's wild.
This guy sounds like Joe Rogan.
And like the other,
it's a
the oth-
while.
Mm.
Mm.
He also the other guy reacted correctly as well. He's like, Joe, what the F?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
It's wild
That's-
too
that was
because the
cool.
other voice for like I guess the video game character, that character only has like a paragraph worth of audio in the entire game, and then they take that and then they have this whole like it's like I guess
That's insane.
vocabulary for this person now.
They say there's like what 3 words that they need, 3 to like 6 words that they really need you to say,
That's it.
and then yeah. Now it's insane how quick you can get it now.
That's crazy.
They can even replicate your voice. I remember there was like an AI. I think Taran, you and I were looking at it one day after the pod. There was like something on Hacker News where you can just basically record and upload your voice, and I'm like, F that. But they're just like, say these words, and that's
Oh,
all
I
you need, and we
remember.
can replicate your
I
voice.
remember doing that, but yeah, that
Oh,
sounds
okay.
cool.
Google has more than those 3 words. I guarantee you that for like 75%
Fair enough.
of this population, they can, if they wanted to, they can like literally like impersonate you
Impersonate.
with.
Didn't they
Yeah.
release
They-
their AI bot? What'd they call it? Some weird ass name. Yeah,
Bard.
Like
Yeah, and it had like there was like some issue during the demo,
Yeah.
and it tanked their stock.
That's crazy.
I think I shared this with maybe Coinder, but there was a tweet that where it's like, lay off like 10% of your company, your stock goes up a 1.5%. Have a bad demo and it drops 8%.
yeah.
That's crazy. It's so true too. Like it's insane. Like they laid off 10,000 people and like, like you should have done that type of thing. you mess up on a demo where it's like cutting edge technology, AI, like it's like calm down, like we're still figuring things out. Nope, you should have known better.
Yep.
8%.
They probably are already predicting, oh, this is going to affect, the bottom line and all of that stuff. Probably done
Yeah,
that.
I mean, Tran, you're not wrong. Like,
Yeah.
if as it is, Chat GPT is kind of game like existential to Google, right? Like as it stands right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
really
threat
is.
for Google for sure.
Microsoft ripped it. They did a really good job with that investment, man.
Yeah. Apparently Elon was one of the co-founders of OpenAI.
OpenAI. Yeah, he sold his shares
Yeah,
to
because
Microsoft.
they wanted to. It was not for profit at the time, and then they created a profit arm, and he didn't like that, so he's like, "F it."
Yeah. And also what they were doing was scary.
Typical
Sorry?
Elon. And now he wants to. He wants to open another one. Compete with them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
I was Elon.
It's like you wouldn't be able to take back what they've already done, right? What you've invested in, like it's already out there in the world.
Not like you can
It's-
walk in, get all their data, and just make a new model. Like takes
Yeah.
investment.
But he's got.
That's the main thing, man. Yeah. Does he now though? I don't know. He spent a lot on Twitter.
Food, man. I mean, apparently there's more layoffs coming. Some like huge. There's another executive that just got fired. Like, I don't know. That Twitter might be sold off. Like, might be just becoming.
You think so?
I think so. He has no way to make money out of it.
He might just take it private.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter wasn't making money before. Now it has interest.
Well, he's not been paying his landlord, so maybe he's saving some money. Apparently, the landlord had to they defaulted on a loan because Elon wasn't paying them.
Oh
Oh,
god,
damn.
this guy is really just trying to become another Trump.
Yeah. I think it was a good tactic though. Is like he doesn't pay and then he can like renegotiate. Like they're defaulting on their loans, so they'll probably take anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Most of the states.
it's just like, what are you gonna do?
It's so
Sue
much
us?
more lax with the rent
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how
Yeah, I was
commercial
just
is,
gonna
but
say that
yeah.
too.
I feel like a commercial might have more recourse to like sue a big, because if like I feel like court is gonna look and it's like, dude, you can pay this. Like I don't care if you're being cheap about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whereas
But it's like
resident,
they have to actually sue him.
yeah,
But see, that's what I'm wondering is like in commercial here, if you don't pay in like 15 days, you can like change the locks. You like get the F out. You can like literally.
you can sue if tenant tries to leave. Commercial law is so much better for like the landlord.
mm-hmm.
Yo, Ali, your mic
Yeah.
is coming in low. I don't know if it's just me.
I'd probably like a little further away.
Yeah, it's a little better.
But yeah, you're right, Ali. That's like the commercial laws here are crazy for landlords. Like if in 15 days after their lease has expired, you can just be like, no,
Yeah.
like you haven't paid, like F you, and change the locks. You can take their stuff. I think you have to give the stuff back, but like you could probably sell it if they don't pick it up.
Take Twitter source code, and sell it off because it's all on the servers.
Shit.
Actually, Twitter's. I'm assuming Twitter's source code. Maybe their user data. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, the source code isn't as though. To be honest, it's like their engineering was pretty phenomenal because they didn't use any cloud. Like that's their own cloud.
Yeah, there was
So-
like some thread, I think, when Elon was talking about like the costs about it, and someone was like, "Why didn't you just put it on AWS?" Like one of the laid off engineers chimed in. It's like, "Well, this is how many requests we have to handle. This is the amount of data we have. We looked at the costs, and we could either host it ourselves, or this was how much it would cost to host on AWS, and it was a magnitude higher."
Yeah. Like yeah, it was crazy high.
Yeah, like running
mm,
running a big business on AWS is very like it can get very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why. Okay. I think you're right about that, though. I feel like there's going to be a trend coming soon where um, a bunch of these companies are actually going to go from cloud to like native, and or go direct to places where it lets you host your own cloud, or sorry, your own in your own data center. So it'll be somebody else's data center, but you have more control. You have either a rack or a server. I do believe it's going to go
Yeah.
back to that, right? Because
I don't know. I think
it's getting expensive.
yeah, the cloud does offer a lot of benefits, and I guess with a smaller team, you can do a lot more. It's going to be weird. I feel like as technology gets more, as we were just talking about AI and how like AI is, there's even like AI generators for code, but I feel like infrastructure costs for like DevOps and stuff, that is going to be hard to like break into for AI because that takes, I don't know, like that takes a lot of hard.
What
It's a good
exactly is a
question. To
DevOps?
me, sometimes either they're wizards or they're idiots.
That's funny.
What's a good? I don't know how to. It's like someone that keeps the plumbing running for a tech business. That's the best way I can describe it. Like they'll set up any additional servers. They'll handle releasing new updates to an app. I think if you have a complicated application, like specifically web for service, if you have a complicated web service, they're very essential because they literally do keep the company running.
Yeah.
So like an
Yeah,
operations
yeah, yeah, yeah.
manager in a
I
company
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But for
that that
yeah,
manages
but for code,
operations.
they're also engineers.
But
They write code.
yeah,
They have no idea what
But
the product itself does, but they write
no,
code.
no, that's no. I was I was making an analogy, right? Because the operations manager is like the connects the company together,
mm, I
right?
see what you're saying.
As in is the heartbeat of the company. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And when Mo described that, it's like okay, they are the ones that are responsible to keeping the code together or the program or software, whatever it is, together.
Yeah, running and like making sure it, like if it goes down, they bring it up and things along those lines. But they also they create
Exactly.
all the automated systems to make sure that happens, right? Thankfully, like at my company, like the DevOps people are freaking phenomenal. Most of them are phenomenal, right? They're very good engineers, and they they basically bring up all the infrastructure and make sure it's running all the pipelines to actually deploy the code, and make our lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
Before, what used to happen is you would take like a kind of block of code and like package, and you would just give it to the infrastructure team, and they would deploy it and take care of it. Now, because code and pipelines are like a lot more integrated, they're also more integrated into that process, and they come in way quicker in terms of deployment than they used to before. um, and then also the dev people are more integrated on the ops side as well, right? They're a bit more understanding of what goes on that side. And also, infrastructure used to be a very physical thing. Like you'd go to the server and like log into servers and things like that, and then eventually you could log in remotely, etc., and do all that setup manually. Now, because of the cloud, you write this thing called Terraform, which can bring up like 50 servers. I want this. I want Kafka. I want a database. I want Redis. I want all this kind of stuff. And they define it in code. Press a button, and now you have everything
To be fair, I think there
available.
are still some DevOps that like don't still do the physical thing if they have servers in
Sure.
the office.
Yeah, that's fair. It's crazy leveraged now, though.
Yeah.
Like insanely leveraged of what you can do, especially with a small team. You can do so much more than you used to be able to do, like even I would say 7-8 years ago. Yeah.
What was the question we asked last time?
That's interesting.
Oh, the last time was would you use the One Medical integration to
Oh.
like Amazon? Like, is that something that is appealing to you?
Do you guys want to answer?
Ali,
Not for me.
Turan.
Like I would say,
I said
yeah,
no.
sure, it's scary security and like how much do they know about us? But I think they already know, right?
Ali's like the Zoom or Roomba's already, knows what my house is like.
Yeah,
Might as well
yeah,
know my body too.
right. Room just watching all day. Like you got Amazon living with you. Like I don't.
Interesting.
That's
That's
bonkers.
DMT.
Yeah.
You're right, though. You're right. Yeah. It's
Like-
continue.
It'll make life better.
See, you would hope it would make you better, or make your medical. I just don't have that faith. I think what they'll use it for is not related to my personal
Yeah.
well-being, and I
Yeah,
think that's where I'm like, if I'm gonna give it, like, why would I give it then?
front facing, it would make your life better. I'm sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Whatever the hell they're doing with all this data and what else, like, I agree. It's probably not for the better, but to like the public eye or just going on if all I care about is, like that one doctor's appointment, and it's just like I don't have to sit there and explain my life story, right?
How often do you explain your life story to your doctor?
I don't go to the doctor. I mean,
Ali's just there every week,
Yeah.
so
Yo, you joke, but a lot of people do that. Like, if they're retired and like, or they lost a partner, and it's just that they do. Like, I'm sorry to bring a damper, but it does happen.
yeah, no.
no.
Yeah. How about you, Turan? What do you think about this?
Yeah, for me it's a no. Just because
I
don't wanna use drugs.
Well, I don't know what doctor you're going to. Like,
I don't want the
shove
doctor to know what drugs
Open
I'm
your
using.
mouth.
don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
Like, what are
What'd you say,
doctors are you
Ali?
going to? Like, forcing pills down you?
DMT.
Yeah, DMT. That's wild.
That's wild.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, but honestly, yeah, like Trent. So your only reservation is you don't want to take drugs. That's why you don't want to go One Medical.
No, so I try my best to not use pills or drugs or anything of that sort. I try. At least I'm working on being more natural with my healing and all that. So I wouldn't be so bothered to use it. I mean, if it has something that is useful to me that I would use, then yeah, sure, I'd use it. I wouldn't think that, oh, it's One Medical, like I'm gonna go specifically there. No, I'll just, like, whoever has what I need, I'll go there. Whatever's convenient.
Whoever has the best drugs, you'll go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Best natural drugs. I think mainly though people just have reservations about it based on the privacy aspect, right? Being able to give up your
But
information.
remember, like Apple Watches. I think when smartwatches first came out, I think that was like a thing, right? Where people, now they're now he's chilling with you all day, not even just at home, Roomba's just at home. That's with you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Yo, to be fair,
He's just at home.
I do think Apple does care a bit more about privacy
Yeah.
than most other companies, and like part of that is marketing. Like, I get it, but it does show in like some of their designs. I like total tangent, but I saw a diagram of how Apple Pay works versus Google,
Google Pay.
Google
yeah.
Pay, and Apple doesn't actually store your credit card information. They have a mapping, and it's just a number, and they just pass along that number to the bank, and then when the bank receives, yeah,
because
but like Google actually stores the entire.
Apple.
Sorry, let me
Apple-
finish. The Google actually does store your credit card details, so when you
Yeah.
pay with like Google Pay, it's actually like your credit card details being passed over from Google. Whereas with Apple Pay, it's like this identifier that Apple gets they send to the bank, and the bank then talks to the payment issuer saying this person is paying with this card.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying.
What were you saying, Trent?
No, I think it comes down to what their principles are. Like Apple was in the game, is in the game as a like they sell hardware. Google is all about data. That's how they make their money, right? Ads and advertising and all that stuff. So I think it comes from that too. So they're just two. They probably the two companies have
Yeah,
different values, and so when they're designing stuff, they just do it differently.
Mm. And yeah, the types of information they store dictates their business model as well. The business model dictates what the information they store. That's interesting.
yeah.
It's a
Like,
very interesting perspective.
Trend does bring a good point. Like, for a lot of companies, like business culture or engineering culture is just like talk, but for these like big companies, it does really play into like their, I guess, roadmaps. Like, it's not one person, it's like this culture of how we want to approach things. It does get ingrained, and I guess like product decisions follow that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like, I think
yeah.
what would be your reservation, Mo, about using One Medical, right? If there's any.
Yeah, like I mean, initially maybe it might be a small personal benefit, but I think given the profit motive of these big companies, is it's not gonna be personally benefiting to me. It'll be benefiting to them. Like,
But isn't that like everything these days? Like even your bank, right?
not if you go to a credit union.
Are you with a credit union?
Part of my accounts, yeah.
Really?
But yeah.
Bro.
But like,
At least a man.
there goes my
Oh,
point.
people go there.
Classic Ali.
Yo, their checking interest rate is not bad. It's actually decent. Like, in that,
Mm.
I will see
Yeah.
$1 a month versus, a cent.
That's pretty good.
Uh,
At least like, oh man, my argument's moot.
Yeah.
Fuck.
no, I mean, in general, I just
Ali's gonna, Ali's gonna start googling credit unions near me.
Put the near me at the end.
yeah. In general, I mean, this kind of stuff, I would prefer it be like done for the public good, like not having profit as the main motivator, and that's my only thing.
Mark Cuban's mission, I think.
I mean, Americans.
He's already rich.
yeah.
That's why.
I mean, Americans
Yeah.
are different.
But Amazon's
Yeah,
already
that's the
rich
thing,
too.
right?
They don't think so.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
think, but okay, so
No, Jeff Bezos is rich.
so
But Jeff Bezos is doing
I
all
think
good.
I think one way to tackle this. I'm also hearing myself. So somebody check your speakers. One way to tackle this, I think, would be these thing called zero knowledge proofs. Have you guys heard of those?
I think we've brought it up a couple times in the pod. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
think we did.
I find those very interesting. I think they can be very powerful in the coming future, and there's been a lot of research and work being done on zero knowledge proofs. And this is one area where zero knowledge proofs would apply very very closely. Like, it just makes sense to apply here. So what happens is you give enough information about yourself to prove to allow the person to work with that information, but they never have that information completely, right? So you don't really give up the privacy aspect, right? So yes, they could potentially copy some of these things, but the system itself can be designed in a way where the doctor gets the information, but it's not stored on the system somehow, right? Something along those lines, which allow them to actually work with it, but then you get to safeguard your information, or it's kind of like multi-factor authentication. It gets to the person, to the doctor, but the only way they can view it is if you give them authorization, right? You get like a MFA or something along those lines.
Yeah, I like that approach where it's like,
Yeah.
regularly your data is encrypted, and then when they do access, that you get like a notification saying they want to access this, and this. then you have to
Yeah.
give in something that hopefully is not stored on Amazon's server to decrypt it for a period of time so they can do their thing. And then, but
Yeah.
I bet you the PM is gonna look at this like, no man, that's gonna cost too many engineering hours. We're not gonna do that.
So I think a system like this has to be designed like application agnostic, right? Does that make sense? It needs to be another platform that allows people to store their information, and then a system can hook into that information, and then the person gives that access to that information. Does that make sense?
I agree, but I think as tech people, we have a tendency to stick to a technological solution. When I think, in this case, it has to be enforced like through policy. Whereas, like, if you're going to be storing customer data, then it's like there's going to be legal repercussions if you misuse it.
Right. No, I think that doesn't need to be enforced, but then the technology that implements it this way can be a leading partner to forcing that type of enforcement. I don't know if that makes sense, but do you get what I'm saying? It's like, let's see. I'm trying to think of an example, but think of a platform where all your information is stored, it's encrypted at all times, and you have MFA by default in that platform. And all it does is a storehouse of information. And now all your information has an ID attached to it, which is your personal ID. And now your EMR system, which is your doctor system, they want to access your information. You can tell the EMR companies that, listen, we have a lot of patients' information and they're willing to give you access, but you got to work with our protocol to access that information, right? That is a good solution, which will allow, it's not just patient information. It could be any type of information, right? Like you want to give your license to a vendor or something, they can access it through their system via the same protocol, and then you give MFA and you can allow them to access that information now. I think that would be a good solution. I think we just came up with a good product, no?
Try to get any doctor to move anything digital, and you're gonna be disappointed.
No.
There's a few that are willing to embrace technology, but you're right. It's health is very, and you know what also is very behind? Law. Oh my
There's a
god.
reason I can see why law.
No, they got
Sorry, what up?
some law firms are pretty up and
Do you
up and
mean law
coming
as a
with
practice or
with
law as
with
in
the tech
how
world
as
and all that?
it's like generated or done?
I mean, integrating systems, like integrating technology in their processes
So
and processes
so there's
of
two
what they
actors.
do. Not
There's the
necessarily.
lawyers who practice law, and then there's like our law system, like the engine of law, like
Yeah.
that happens within our governments and
Or the
yeah,
judicial
exactly,
system.
the judicial system. So one of my friends, he's a lawyer, who was telling me to if you want to send a video that's longer than a certain amount or certain size, you have to email them links, right? But if the links are too big, you can't attach Google Drive links to show the videos. You have to go in, get a court order, and then the judge can say yes, they can accept those Google Drive links, and then you can send those Google Drive links. Isn't that freaking insane?
What's so wrong with long links? I'm so confused.
Yeah, okay, that's
No, not long links. Links that are just too the size is too much. So it's like large links. So if it's a video file that's like a gig long or whatever, right? The
Yeah.
secretaries, they're unable to legally accept or their system doesn't do it or whatever. But for some reason they have to get a court order to allow them to accept them. It's like
Wild.
and this is here in
Brampton,
Canada?
yes, like Canada, yeah.
Wild. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
speaking about law, there's actually a big case coming up in American Supreme Court about how essentially, like all these tech platforms, they're not legally liable for the content that they host, right? That onus is on the user is liable. That's actually not the case for newspapers and like bookstores. Like they're actually liable for holding or like holding whatever they have that they're selling, right? And this was a law that was done years ago when the internet started saying, huh, that like yeah, like
Wow.
like we can't moderate a bunch of this stuff. Like we should just like the analogy is like sorry, not bookstores. It's like uh, a bookstore is not liable for the contents of the book they're selling, but an edit like a newspaper is, because a newspaper is edited. Like someone looks at it, looks through the contents, and yeah, exactly, they moderate and they say it's
Moderated.
okay,
Yeah.
right? So what this leads to is like when you take the analogy into like the internet space, um, either you have no moderation and people are going to say whatever stupid junk they want, or you're going to have to like moderate it, but then they become liable for it, right? So to reach a middle ground, they said like, you know what, like the internet is different. You're not liable for this. Even if you do moderate, they're actually revisiting that, and this will decide if, like, even if they do or do not moderate, if they're still responsible for whatever they're hosting, which might actually change a lot of how we think of the internet.
Yeah, so I remember this is like they're a publisher versus there's another word. I forget the word. But like for example, like a phone company is not liable for what you say on its lines. They're just a transport type of company, right? They're just transporting data. And so that's what YouTube and Facebook and all these kind of companies fell under a little bit, was they weren't really liable for all the content that was being published on their pipes. But now they're revisiting it because people are like, you can literally control elections and you guys are moderating to a certain degree. So it's like either don't moderate at all or moderate. You have to start moderating a bit more.
I think as like one of the examples brought up for like the reasons to moderate is because like YouTube says like, we only follow the legal stuff. We don't like to like moderate like that. We just try to comply to legal requirements. But the case was brought up because the argument was like there's a terrorist attack, and like the allegation is that the terrorists became extremists through YouTube videos, right? And they're saying like, your algorithm is neutral, but like on recommendation, but you're still recommending something based on the algorithm. So in a sense, you are moderating and you are judging what a person should see, and which is like editorializing your content, right? Even though it's not a human, it's your algorithm that does it. So you should be responsible if someone.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think so. Like, I think it's a fair statement. It's hard. Like, I do think the issue is that we're algorithm experts, but we're not law experts, and law experts are law experts, they're not algorithm experts. You need two different people, and they're like very different fields. It's a hard one,
Yeah.
because whatever law you set right now, it's going to dictate like future, I guess, like it's going to set the direction for the next couple years.
Yeah, I agree. I think like when I heard that, I was kind of like, people that say, "Oh, YouTube is moderating." It's like they don't really understand algorithms unless like YouTube is actively injecting some sort of recommendation within their algorithms, kind of steering it a certain way, adding weights higher to a certain thing.
They are,
I can
though.
understand it.
In a sense, they
But
are, because they're suggesting videos in a way that will get them more revenue, right? Or keep you on the platform more. So they're directing you to videos that,
And I think
accomplish that.
It's been like it's not even just a rumor, but like TikTok is pushing certain videos to steer the direction of the app. Like it's been one of the, like it's
Yeah.
like people will send like, hey, push this video, and like that's the video that'll get pushed, and that's not even like algorithm. That's literally humans controlling it.
Okay, I didn't know about TikTok, but like in the YouTube case, it's like, yeah, that is their purpose, right? Like if they're pushing anything that gets them more onto the platform, they're pushing that video. That kind of aligns with their incentives, though. It's like the only way you're gonna watch more of what you see on YouTube is what you want to watch, right? And they're gonna give you more of that. So
Yeah.
they just want to keep you on the
I don't
platform.
think
It's not to.
I don't think the argument is that is they're pushing the
But-
content. I think the argument or like the point is, if they know so well what content you're seeing that you want more of, that means you have enough data on what the
Mhm.
content is, and they should be able to like then moderate it.
But
Or how be liable for what they are pushing, because they are pushing it even if it's not a conscious decision. It's not like yeah, go on.
yeah,
No, I was making
No,
a
no,
point
talk.
as I was talking. So
But then aren't we
It's all
back
good.
to like what's
My whole
free
life.
speech and like Elon Musk buying Twitter and his stand for all that?
okay, we're getting to that. I have to say this: free speech is between you and the government. It doesn't care about you and companies. There's no like that's not a thing. It's not a legal concept. The
But-
free speech means the government can't tell you to shut up, but YouTube can and will tell you to shut up.
But like, why should they be able to? Why should they be able to control that?
Yeah, that's like me.
Go,
That's like
go.
me telling. No, that's like me telling everyone, all of y'all to shut up.
And I think
That's
you have the
equivalent,
right
right?
to do
Like,
that. I think if that's how
YouTube
you're
is
gonna
just
like argue with someone, like, or like have a, but like
So like I'm just trying to understand Mo's point. So I think that it makes sense what he's saying. So what he's saying is that YouTube is an entity. It's an entity made up of people. So technically they can just tell you to shut up. They can control it. Because I think what Mo is saying is the free speech is, yeah, it's between the individual and the government, because it's something that was come up in the
Yeah, or like
Constitution or
American
whatever.
Constitution,
right, Mo?
like it's not good for like a free government to tell people to shut up based
but
on
if
what
the
their
app
opinion
can
is. But
control, if the app can control who wants to mute and who doesn't want to mute, they're controlling.
that's not an
and
issue
they're-
of free speech. The issue you're alluding
That's
to
free
is
speech,
that
though.
these companies are too big in that they're seen as a public space.
But that is
Right?
that is free speech. Okay, maybe free. It's not actually like not free speech, like because. But if you can't say what you want, I don't. Yeah, I guess they can tell you to not say it. But it's in a way it's so big that it is public space. It's like saying I can go out on the street and yell something because how
You
big
can't-
these platforms are.
You agree? Like that's another
Okay, yeah,
train of
that's a
thought
good
where it's
point.
like newspapers we just talked about have special rules to regulate what they can say or cannot say,
And they
right?
they
And
steered
because
their stuff in
back
their
then that's
direction.
how people got their news, literally the news. But now these tech giants are doing the same things and they have a lot farther reach. The question is, should they have the same similar level of regulation that those companies do? Because
But
currently they
newspapers
don't.
don't have isn't it known that like certain news channels and stuff, like one's left and one's right and all that kind of stuff.
You can have opinions and that's going to be
Yeah.
regardless of the thing, but
they'll mute the stuff
even
they
like
don't wanna
Fox
talk
News
about.
or what,
Yeah.
a lot of like journalistic places will, if it's shown to be factually wrong, they do put out a statement saying we've said this was actually wrong, like, we're rectifying our facts.
But let's
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they also
exactly. But
don't
they're
say a
muting
lot
it.
of stuff too. Like there's a lot of control.
Yeah, but
Who doesn't say a lot of stuff?
You can't control. What I'm trying to say is that the law can't be written in a way to say what you can, what you don't say. They can only judge you on based on what you do say. You know what I mean? Like you can't do the negative.
Yeah.
I don't think the apps should have control to like be like, oh, we don't want to talk about this kind of certain, like the COVID thing. No matter which side you stand on, they shouldn't be able to mute it. It's not an argument of like which side was right or anything like that, but it's like, can I go on the street and say COVID was a fake or COVID was all fake?
Yeah.
Right? I could, and I won't go to jail or like I won't get in trouble. But
Well,
Depends on the neighborhood, my friend.
That's a different story.
But on like if you try doing it on, I guess on Facebook, they were kind of in a way muting you, like.
But
And
Facebook's not a public space. As much as it wants to think it wants you to think it is, it's not.
yeah, I think that's what but they're so large that they basically
Okay.
are. And if we're agreeing that that's the way they are, like, yeah, it's a private company, then that's what.
that's what the regulators are trying to do right now, right? Like even with Google, they're saying they're so big right now, they have so much power, they need to be broken up, etc. Right? That's exactly their point. They're targeting it the wrong way, in my opinion. But that is what they're afraid of. They're like, wow, these giant companies have so much power, and we can't do anything about it, right? And so they're trying to figure out legal ways to break them up. But right now, they're not being successful.
Or mute both sides. You don't want any controversy. Get rid of all
But that's
controversy.
the issue. If you go to the edge of like, hey, we're gonna cut down anything that might offend anyone ever at all, you're just not gonna have. You're gonna have
Zero
children's
content.
children's cartoons on YouTube.
Even
That's
those,
all
man.
you're gonna-
Do you not remember like all the Disney like that's like those clouds were something, and it's like,
Someone tried to cancel
Yeah.
Peppa Pig.
That's what
Oh
it is.
my
It's like you're gonna
God.
offend someone. I think it just can't be. There needs to be a accepted social baseline, right? Like you can't be 4chan. That's the problem. Like you can't be 4chan, and
4chan,
anything
everything's
above
allowed?
that, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
What's
another
4chan?
topic. 4chan is
Oh, explain it in a sentence.
4chan is unmoderated to the
Is it still
extreme.
relatable though? I remember it being relatable like a while back.
Depends on the board. Like 4chan as a whole gets a bad rap because there's a certain board that is totally unmoderated. There's like no controls. I guess there's some now, but it's totally unmoderated. You can post literally whatever you'd like.
What is
And
this
that's why
for?
it gets a bad rap. Because a lot of
Sorry.
that's why it gets like that's the example. Like it's unusable unless you want to look at poop for the next 30 minutes of your life.
Yeah. And so it's like there's a social like level where it's like, all right, this doesn't make sense to be posted, but anything above that, any social construct that we all kind of agree to, we should allow it to be posted. And I think now platforms are coming up with that, and that's what Twitter tried to be, right? He's like, I'm not gonna not go against anybody that disagrees with me, though I don't think he's abiding by that, but that was the kind of purpose, is you can say whatever you want and there would be no repercussions. And so that I think would be a good platform to have. Yeah. Anyways, this was fun. You're right, Ali.
This is a lot
I
more
think
fun
we
to
should-
record.
Even just for us,
yeah.
like, maybe the other ones would do better, but this is funner. I think this is
Yeah,
just,
I see what you mean.
this is what we
I do
used
think-
to do.
Yeah, I think we do need to like sprinkle in some pre-generated topic as a way to like stay relevant. Like I
Yeah.
think that just to keep us to keep relevant, we do need to insert something. But like this free form it's a lot more it's easier to do.
Yeah.
I think what it was with the other episodes is we would try to
Yeah.
keep it to a certain time, and so we wouldn't be free in our talk. We would be like, let Ali go or let Cole go, and then not talk a whole lot, because we would try to limit the amount of time we would
But
spend on each topic. Whereas now it's like we just talked, right? But I do hear
Yeah.
Mo's point, and I agree. Like we probably need a few topics. We can integrate the topics in our conversation, but we don't need to be so rigid about how we
Yeah.
integrate it.
But also it's like I think there needs to be some sort of moderation, like, oh, this person should talk, because it's otherwise I'm just gonna keep talking.
No, but okay, right now me and Mo are kind of. Like, I think it just depends on the time. Like it's, you know, I think
Yeah, because there are certain topics, Cole, that like you and Mo are more knowledgeable in, or just are able to have more banter on than say me and Ali. And so in that point we can just, it's fine for us to just stay at the back and just listen, right? And then we can chime in like we did right at the end there,
Okay.
Ali and I.
Yeah, that's fair. I think then we should pick topics like not that rigidly. I agree, but that kind of involve a conversation with everybody, right? Because what ends up happening is, like, for example, we were talking about DevOps. You genuinely had that question, which was good, right? Like you wanted to know. In that case, it's like it would be me and Mo mainly talking about it. But I think having topics that involve everyone just shows better, because people like hearing from different viewpoints, right?
Yeah, that's fair, but at the same time we also get to learn from each other. Like, like it's also interesting to learn something that I haven't heard about, or be in a conversation of a topic that I wouldn't talk about. And so I'm also the listener in that situation, and then it's probably there probably be listeners out there that are in similar scenarios where there might be another person like me who doesn't know about that topic, and then would probably appreciate that I'm in that conversation as someone who
That's
doesn't
fair.
know that topic.
Yeah,
That
that's
makes
fair.
sense.
All right, everyone. You guys heard behind the scenes sort of thing from Select All Podcast. BTS. Hopefully, you guys
BTS.
enjoyed this. We're gonna probably just release it as is.
No, I think we should
Ali,
save
maybe
the BTS stuff for like if it gets popular.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Personal
I don't know.
opinion.
Ali, I'm gonna let you edit this one as well. Just one more week. One more week. One more week. And then
We could chop this up into a
Let's talk
part
about
1,
things,
part
to be
2,
honest.
and then just
yeah,
take
like
a,
I don't mind it,
Meet
but
again tomorrow.
yeah. I'm just
Cool.
throwing it out there.
all right, I'll stop recording
Till next time.
later.